Hey everybody, welcome to Movie Master. Today we're going to be looking into a very unique subject. Now remember, before we get into any of this is just my opinion. Anything I say here is just all of my opinion. So with that, let's get into this. Hello, my name's Movie Master, and today we're going to go into why I don't like the fourth installment in Michael Bay's Transformers movie universe. Okay, so to start off, imagine this. So here's how we can begin my story. So I'm 3 years old at the time. This is 2010. I'm in my house. We were living in a house. My mom has just finished cleaning and cooking food. She pops on a DVD called Transformers. She pops it on, and I watch it, and then I got interested and fascinated by this. Mama, this was at this time. This was way before I got into any interest in Marvel. Marvel was not my big fat focus when I was a kid. I was not as nearly a big fan of Marvel or this franchise as much as I am now. I was never a big fan of it back then. Not that I hated it. I just didn't understand what the hell this all was. So it's 2010. And two movies out of this franchise have been released so far, and my mum owns both of these on DVD, and we'll see the third installment in cinemas. Now, this movie has a helicopter that lands there and literally turns into a robot. Then a few scenes later, we meet a character called Samuel James Witwicky, descendant of Archibald Witwicky, and he turns out to want to buy a car. He's 16 years old, just got his driver's license. He's gotten he's gotten $1,000 and two A's. So he needs A plus or A minus, or an A at least, to get a car. So Tad takes him out, and best car he likes is a 1970s Chevrolet Camaro with yellow and black striped custom paint job. This is around the 1974-1976 model. It's a decent model, and I like what they chose for that. And the car for some reason escapes of the night and keeps driving by itself, and then it's realized to be Bumblebee, the yellow and black Transformer colored car in the Transformers franchise. And the movie my mum had pop on was Transformers, released in 2007. This is not the copy my mother bought years back. This is the copy I bought at the Clarence Shed, a shop that sells DVDs. This is the copy my mum bought all the way back in 2007. She was shopping through the shops, and obviously she had me, so she couldn't go out and watch this in theaters, or see this, or buy this on DVD just yet, because this came out in June. And it was only literally a month after Spider-Man 3, which was released in May in New Zealand. So she couldn't exactly go find this. So when new movies come out, they have this shelf that has this movie on it, and so my mum bought it. But then she saw a little girl looking for it and gave it to that little girl, and then went to the T section, found this, and then bought it. My loving behind Transformers came from this 2007 movie, directed by Michael Bay, starring Charlotte Booth and Megan Fox. Now, I did not know that she was an a sex object, or an object for the main male viewers. And the humor in the movie, if you watch it even now, the humor in the movie is juvenile to the Michael Bay standards, but it's not as wild as, for example, the movies that come after it, especially these two movies that come after it that don't excess up on Michael Bay's sense of humor, including the ones that don't warrant it too much, but still increase it. If you're wondering why I'm using these covers, they are examples of what the films can very much go wild with the humor. They can go from very wild sense of humor to not so much, but to a degree that's kind of a tiny bit noticeable, or to a degree that's noticeable, but you can ignore it due to how decent of a movie it is. Now, this movie made me fall in love with the franchise. Not fall in love, it got me interested and made me become a fan. But was I a convinced fan? Not yet. I needed one more movie to sew the deal. That was Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, released in 2009. This is the only DVD on the entire set that's still in its original cover and original disc. This was replaced with another disc due to the fact the original one is too scratched. I lost the original disc to this one and replaced it with a copy I got from a Blu-ray version of the DVD. This one, I changed the cover. This one has practically had no changes since I bought it about 4 years ago when it was released. This DVD, I find it, is the only one that has not had any alterings. So these two are the only ones that have not had alterings since I bought them. A lot of times I changed the covers, but back in the day in 2000s, covers were like this. They were white color covers, like this one. These were all white color covers, but then they started branching out to black color covers and multicolored covers. So yeah. But continuing on, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, I fell in love with that movie completely. And these movies cemented me as a Transformers fan. Now, I only watched the first two movies, so I knew nothing about the other characters that came outside the movies. So a show called Transformers Prime had premiered that year, and that's what got me fully fledged into the Transformers franchise. Now, speaking on other terms of other Transformers media, no, the other media was decent. I was interested in watching the animated series, but I never fully got full fledged into it. I've never liked the Unicorn trilogy is something I've never bothered sticking my time into. I think of it as a time that was before my Transformers time. Before 2007, Transformers was a very different time between 2000, between Robots in Disguise, the 2000 show, and the Unicorn trilogy overall. Prior to Transformers the movie franchise, there was a completely different era of Transformers. Bumblebee was not able to be used because his namesake was taken away. Jazz was not a Porsche 911, and many different characters had gone overhauled. So, with this, after Transformers Animated had just ended, Hasbro wanted to try out their new website called The Hub. So, what used none other than Transformers to promote this new streaming service. So, they got a great cast of characters and brought back the great Peter Cullen to portray Optimus Prime, and bringing the very good Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to portray Cliffjumper, and many other voice actors that would soon morph into Transformers Prime, one of the only rare CGI animated Transformers shows that had heart and soul similar to Transformers Animated. All three seasons were great and even had spin-offs like Transformers Rescue Bots, a popular kids show I myself indulged myself in as a kid, and a very wonky yet still decent sequel, Transformers Robots in Disguise. It's not shitty, it's not really fucking bad. Yes, this video is definitely rated for older people of my viewers, if I have any damn fucking viewers. God damn it, my channel fucking sucks. Yes, I'm copying a tiny bit of Diamond Ball, but I hate the fourth movie in this franchise, so I'm allowed to swear this time, so I'm breaking the rules. But nonetheless, Transformers Prime was my introduction to the wider world of Transformers. I even saw some episodes on TV. The one where Bumblebee loses the ability to transform. The one where Agent Fowler goes to his higher-ups to explain the events of the past first two seasons, I think. And another one where Silas, the CEO of a company called Mech, is looking into them to try and steal it for alien technology. Among that, there's a lot more I've seen of Transformers, and yeah. I have also watched a few episodes of the classic 1984 series, which fact my mother is actually older than the entire animated and original G1 show, because she was born about 3 years earlier than it. She's not older than the toy brand that was made. The toy brand was based off two different brands. Now, I think I have literally a copy of my speech here, but I'm too lazy to go grab that out. But nonetheless, Transformers was a popular brand in America, and I still think it had a decent amount of popularity here in New Zealand, which is where I live. And as a kid, Transformers was quite a popular thing. One of my friends is actually a Transformers fan. Although sadly he did drop his liking for the franchise, I'm still an avid Transformers fan to today. Not as big as I used to be, but I'm still an avid fan that I'll stay interested. I'm quite interested in the current line of toys, the Transformers Studio Series line, which is, if you've seen the videos on my second channel, look like this. If you've seen my friend transform the Transformer on that YouTube channel, if you want to see me or him transform Transformers on Movie Master, just comment in the comments below. For those who actually give a damn about my entire existence on this very big corporate website. Anywho, nonetheless, this is the Transformers Studio Series lineup done by Takara Tomy, the creators of Transformers in Japan, and Hasbro, the creators of the Transformers brand here in America, New Zealand, Canada, and pretty much everywhere besides Japan and China. This is a new series that will basically take the Transformers from all 6 live-action movies, the 5 ones done by Michael Bay, the 1 solo movie done by Travis Knight, and the 1 1986 movie made in 1986. That will basically be a line where they take all the movies and make better, accurate Transformer toys out of that line. Some of them have been good, like Topspin here. This is based off Topspin from Transformers Dark of the Moon, released in 2011. But that movie we'll get to later. And yeah, they're based them off of all kinds of movies. I've been trying to collect them, but the ones I want are sadly not available here in New Zealand yet, so I'm holding out hope that they will become available just yet. But nonetheless, back onto the point of subsiding from there, after learning more about Transformers, another movie had come out in the franchise, Transformers Dark of the Moon, which I'd seen a few trailers for prior to seeing this movie, and I was seriously hyped. This was the third installment and was going to bring back Shia LaBeouf, all the Autobots from my favorite last two movies, but sadly, one character would not be brought back that I completely loved as a character. Megan Fox as Michaela Baines. Now, as many of you Transformers movie fans, those who were avid movie fans and fans of Transformers, would know that Megan Fox compared Michael Bay, the director of all five of these movies, to Adolf Hitler, and was later fired from the role of Michaela Baines. Whether it was Steven Spielberg who caused the actress to get kicked off the role is unknown, because Steven Spielberg has though denied these rumors that he was the one that told Michael Bay to fire Megan Fox. Most of the leads lead up to the fact that Steven Spielberg is the one responsible for Megan Fox getting fired. Michael Bay was going to keep her for the third installment, but Steven Spielberg finding it very offensive, in which it kind of is, in which it actually is offensive. It's not kind of offensive, it's fucking offensive comparing a not that bad, a decently juvenile human director to the one of the most worst dictators in the human world to ever exist. It's a pretty bad record, and I'm not surprised she got fired for the role. I'm a bit sad she got cut, so yeah. Nonetheless, she was replaced with Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, a model actress for the company that is known as Victoria's Secret. Although they're not as big as they used to be, apparently back when the film was made, they were a big-ass hit. And she was replaced to play the adaptation of a character called Carly. In the cartoon, Sam Witwicky's character from the movies is based on the character of Spike Witwicky from the cartoon. Now, changing his name to Sam was a bit of a better idea because that made it more realistic that you could be named Sam Witwicky. Plus, it resonated with the name of Spike, and I like the name Sam. It was a very normal American boy getting his world turned upside down by alien robots. And Carly was an adaptation of that character, although I'm disappointed about how Michaela was treated in the film. But let's get back to the main point of the video before we shift off to each film. So nonetheless, all these movies were great. They're decent but have their flaws. Some of them, lots. So let's cover the first one. Transformers, released in 2007. This movie was directed by Michael Bay, and the executive producer was Steven Spielberg, and was distributed by Hasbro and Paramount together. Hasbro made the toys for the brand, and I've seen nearly a bunch of ads for the toys, and I'd say that the toys for the movies were decent. The first and second movie line, especially and including the third line, had a quite decent amount of toys. The fourth one was kind of garbage, and so was the fifth one. Although I'd rather buy a Transformers 1 to 3 toy line, and depending maybe the fourth. The fifth movie toy line was garbage. It was a garbage toy line. Now, Transformers 1 had a decent toy line, a decent movie, and overall, it had a decent experience. They did objectify Megan Fox with the car, but that was as far as it went. If I could, I would also give my alternate cuts for these, where I would add in alternate cuts of the film, and even do my own version of Transformers 4, without any of the BS Michael Bay put into the actual fourth movie, which the video title suggests I dislike very, very much. Now, as a whole, Transformers 1 is what got me into Transformers. I can't hate this movie. There are some things I can dislike about it, but I can't hate it. Now, the big difference with me and a lot of other fans of the franchise is that I was introduced to it via the movies, so I can't always see the hate, and I actually defend this movie quite a lot. Now, I don't get why people are a bit too harsh on the first film, even though Watchmojo themselves said that it spawned off a bunch of horrible sequels. That was their problem. All these movies that apparently quote-unquote have flaws, including these two, they will all have their own problems going on behind them. Studio interference, wanting to make more money, a decent ending to a franchise but replacing the Babe, and a movie that absolutely had no script. They all had their own problems. This was adapting something completely different. This was still in the era where movies and popular iconic things would get adapted into really shitty adaptations. If you ask the people of Mario, I think they got a very less better version. This is better than the Mario movie that came out. The Super Bros movie sucks. It looks like funk. It looks like shit. I would not watch that. I would never watch that shit. It's horrible. It's horrible. I'd rather watch this. Heck, I would even watch this sack of garbage over the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And I hate this. I'd rather watch this sack of garbage. Heck, I'd even watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'd even go as far as watch that half-second garbage. Even probably Spider-Man 3. It's decent, but Spider-Man 3 needs improvement. But that's another video for those two movies. I better not diverge on a Spider-Man BS, because that's going to make me become a big fat Spider-Man cuck show. So nonetheless, let's continue. This movie was the golden movie for me. I think of it as a holy grail of Transformers. Not a lot of people are going to agree with me in the comment section, but fuck me, it's my opinion. It's my opinion, dude. Like I said at the start of the video, it's my opinion. So if you don't give a shit about my opinion, then I can go fuck myself. Do not take that as lightly. Now remember, this is not made for kids. As I'm gonna state now, this video is definitely not made for the kids like the many other videos I probably posted on my channel. It's much more adulterated due to my disliking for this certain movie. So that's why this one will be blocked off to the much more younger audiences who I don't know why will tune into my videos. Considering the fact that if they're fascinated in movies like I was when I was 10 years old and wanted to, if they were 11 or 10 years old and fascinated by movies and wanted to watch a guy called Sean Chandler or me, and actually fascinated by this and actually give a damn and be interested by their opinion, then I'm surprised. I'm surprised that there's 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds right there, right now, watching this video. I suspect that all my viewers would likely be around my age or older watching these videos. But if they did, I'm not going to be offending you. Good for you if you're 10 or 11 years old. Heck, if you're even 5. God damn it, I was left to contemplate what movies were when I was 5. All I thought of them was something that took place in real life. I was 5 years old, dude. It was very incomprehensible. I had a very wild-ass imagination. So yeah. But take my swearing lightly. Okay, okay, I'm getting off my point. Transformers 1 is the holy grail. It's my opinion. I love this movie. I think it's a holy grail. Even as my mother, she knows how much I give a shit about this movie. She knows how much I love it. The only issue is it's like oh shit, where's the runtime again? I can't it's about like 2 hours long, so it's approximately, yeah, it's 138 minutes or like 2 hours long. It's 2 hours 40 minutes and 1 second long. These movies are very, very long, and the more and more they're released, the more and more longer they got, except for Bumblebee. That's the only movie that was not made 5 hours long. Because like the movies are going longer. Yeah. Sorry. But nonetheless, Transformers 1 is the holy grail for me. I consider it the most golden movie ever made, and I find it the best one out of the franchise for me. And if you've seen my ranking on Transformers 1 to Bumblebee, you know I'm a big fan of this movie, and expect a re-rank with the animated 1986 movie, and depending on whenever they're going to make a sequel to the Bumblebee movie, coming out very soon, or probably next year, like 2023 or something. So yeah. And another thing to look forward to is a re-ranking of all the Spider-Man movies coming in December. This will be leading up to the release of Spider-Man No Way Home. December will be the Spider-Man month, and so will May. May and December will be Spider-Man months. They'll the Spider-Man duo. They will be going through 2 different moments of Spider-Man history. May will be covering the Tobey Maguire movies. I'll be doing a bunch of stuff around Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. December will be going over all areas of Spider-Man. The Mark Webb, the MCU, and a bit on the Tobey Maguire, but since May's covering that, I won't go too in-depth on that franchise. But I'll mainly be covering the MCU version, since that month is a Tom Holland centered movie. The Tom Holland movies will get much more love in that month, but I'll also give equal amount of love for the Andrew Garfield movies, and not that much for Tobey, due to the fact his 2 movies will get covered in May. So expect that, and make sure to remind me in the comments below. But anywho, continuing on, to finish that off, this is the holy grail. This is the holy grail of all Transformers movies. Now let's get on to the next one. Let's calm down by talking. I'm talking a bit too long. Fast, I mean. Now we move on to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This movie is another holy grail, in my opinion. I know it has issues. It is a movie without a script, literally. This movie has no script, and it's like 2 hours, 40 minutes, 1 second long. Okay, some of this, I feel like this is lying. I feel like some of this is lying. I swear this movie's longer than this one. I mean, that's what's... God damn it. Yep, it's a bit long. But anyway, I have much more accurate tellings on my phone. That's like 1 hour and 26 minutes. But yeah, nonetheless, this second movie, whilst it had its issues, I still found it decent. This one has the seeds of success, but it was alright. The ad campaign, I think, was decent. I love how much ads they endorsed it on. I think I like how they endorsed with the ads in the first three movies. We really did well with the Burger King and McDonald's ads, because I can remember so many ads I used to love watching as a kid revolving around this. That and Revenge of the Fallen has so far, out of all 6 live-action movies, given us the best toy line out of all 5 movies. Because, well, they gave us they gave the most best looks for the characters and design, and they overall had the best toy line. They didn't have any sparky features, like how Transformers 1 was the automatic button. It would automatically push them up to transform in a certain way. Transformers 2 had the most accurate looks for the characters of the movies. The third one had Mech-Tech, the fourth one had one-step and two-step changes. The fifth one had Premiere Editions, which was an idea that was cut from the Bumblebee lineup, and the Bumblebee lineup is, in my opinion, the worst round time we've seen in the Transformers brand, besides End of Extinction. But, continuing, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is another good movie, and is what sealed the deal for me on liking Transformers. I like the mystery aspect of it. They add a bit of a mystery to Sam and them having to solve the mystery of the Matrix. It's a bit underwhelming what they give you, because they say it's such a powerful item, and the Matrix is the Matrix, so that alternate powerful route that's stronger than the cube. Its power can never be. They say the Fallen's line is the Allspark's power can never be destroyed, but that line he says doesn't exactly mean anything through the entire movie. I would have liked it if Transformers 1 ended with the cube blasting a bunch of shockwaves with a bunch of shards landing in different areas around the world, so that it truly shows that its power and its knowledge can never be destroyed. It can only transform. Like how it attaches to Peter Sam's clothing or goes into his mind, it can only transform. That's what I'll do. I was recutting these movies. So yeah. Nonetheless, these movies, whilst they had issues, the duology is decent, and I still find them good movies to go back and rewatch in my childhood. Would I rewatch these right now? No, I'd rather rewatch Transformers 2. Transformers 1 is awesome, but out of all of them, I would overall maybe not, but maybe I would go back and rewatch them. And now the part that finally add in, how my mother got this. My mother doesn't give too much context on how she got this. She didn't get this one separately like the other one. She got this not long after it released, but got it with a bunch of other DVDs. After that, yeah, she pretty much owned it. And it's the only out of the set of these movies that have not changed a bit since I got it. Yeah, it's now coming to my ownership. A lot of her old DVDs came into my ownership recently. Especially the Transformers movies. They came into my ownership now. Including the Avengers 1 DVD. That came into my ownership along with Thor and Captain America. But nonetheless, Transformers 1 and 2 really sealed the deal. And I thought they were really good movies. And I think they really sewed the deal for how I became a Transformers fan, and had a decent lineup of toys that went to their movies. And the ads were amazingly well done. And the money for the first one I think it earned its fair share due of money. Second one, it's debatable. And Megan Fox does not really get a character in this movie. She's just more used to entertain the audience. And I don't really like the idea how she's used as an object rather than her actual acting being put to good use. So, yeah. Now we move on to the final good movie besides Bumblebee in this entire 6-movie franchise. Transformers Dark of the Moon. And I do like the quote that's saying it's the best action movie ever. It's a blockbuster. Each of these have a definition. Oh, sorry. This is an introduction. This introduces us to the world of Michael Bay's Transformers from a human perspective, which is cool. This is the big fat Michael Bay sequel. This is a Michael Bay action sequel. It's firmly a Michael Bay movie sequel. This is a blockbuster. It's firmly and really works off the idea of it being a blockbuster. Whereas this one works off the fact that it's just a Michael Bay sequel and nothing more, nothing less. And the first one works on it being a Transformers adaptation. This works on the fact that it's a blockbuster. The writer that is hired for it, which I may be able to find on here. Maybe. I'm just trying to... Yeah, that's going to take too long, and I can't even read what the hell's on the back here. But the guy that got to write it really was a good writer, and I really think he could have tied up the story good. I think that what I loved is that he tried to tie up a lot more of the continuity knots that the first 2 films addressed. Because, well, overall, I love these movies. But I don't want to get that big, I love these movies so much that I want to say that for the last bit so I can tell you how much I don't like the last 2. I know I sound like a dick, but that's how I like to YouTube. But nonetheless, Transformers 3 I think is a great ending that should have been how this ended. This movie did everything I wanted to do for an ending. It had a song, Iridescent, or however I say, I may be saying it incorrectly, that was done by Linkin Park and made it sound like an ending. This was the final stage that Sam Witwicky's character would go through. First movie, he was going through high school, trying to go through the trial and tribulations of being a teenager, but add alien robots. Now another one, Sam is trying to live a normal life, but in the fact, he's still got to deal with being Earth's connection to the Transformers. The third one, Sam's finally growing up. He wants to matter. Sam's needing to matter is really the big effect in the movie that I really think the writer did well. He wants to matter. This movie makes him want to matter. That's what I think the movie wanted him to matter. That's why I really think it worked. He was trying, it was an ending. And yeah, I thought it was a great ending, that this could have been the final ending to the Transformers saga. Michael Bay pulled out all the stops and looked like he was pulling out all the stops. He was giving us the best action sequences. He was giving us the best character development. He was actually giving us the most decent and, in my opinion, the best character development out of the entire 3 movies that he directed so far. That the other 2 movies are kind of lacking. Shia LaBeouf kind of got into his kind of bestish, better version of himself. And kind of portrayed the character a bit more better and nearly to the mark of the first movie, whereas he portrayed him a bit off character in the second movie. I like how the movie is very good at an ending. It feels like an ending. And the villain is a very cool villain. And I really like how Megatron is still a factory villain. Even though we would never got to sadly see that final confrontation between Optimus and Megatron. Nonetheless, this would have been a great ending for a great franchise. And a great chaptering off for my childhood. Now, I love Transformers 1 through 3. I like them because they built a lore that the comics, that a prequel and comics that took place in between these 3 great movies in my opinion, really built on. And this movie was going to be the final chapter. I would have liked it if we got one more movie to cap off the story. Because I doubt that even with a recut or comics added in, this movie couldn't be finished off as it was, even with the extensive amount of recut you could do with this movie to make it tie up all the plot lines. You would still need a comic and one more movie, in my opinion, to tie it off. So yeah. One idea Michael Bay had for the 4th Transformers movie was to take it into Cybertron, which would have been cool and would have finished off the series on Earth and take us into space and finish off the story up there. And we could have ended with Optimus Prime and all Linkin Park's on What I've Done to kind of bring this song full circle, which is kind of like a legacy What I've Done song added with new lyrics on it to kind of just cap it off and show and come full circle with them back on Earth and now being the protectors of Earth forever, with Cybertron now being gone, and linking it with Linkin Park, and then take the franchise there and reboot it with Bumblebee. But sadly no. Hasbro and Paramount wanted more money. So, they wanted more money. So, overall, Transformers 1 through 3 had earned them over millions of dollars. Billion, actually. Transformers 3 had earned them $1 billion. Actually, no, earned them $4 billion. And so, combine that with Transformers 1 and 2 with $700 and $800 million, you got a total of a lot of money. I don't want to bother adding that all up, but that's a lot of money. But no, yeah, they had to go make another movie that I consider garbage. And the point of this entire video. This sack of shit. I'm holding it in my hand right now. Now, here's the story behind this. After Transformers 3 came out, I was a big fat fan. I wanted to see a 4th movie. And when the poster got revealed, I was a bit skeptical. The Decepticon symbol did not look very brightening for me, and did not look like it was going to be very different from the previous 3 movies. And we finally got a trailer. It showed Ratchet dying. So it was such a lovely movie. Such a lovely way to begin a movie is to kill off all the characters from the past 3 movies. Now, here's what I'm fucking really pissed off about it. That this movie and these 2 movies are guilty for. Especially the likes of this one. These 2 movies ruined the amazingly done lore that Michael Bay and Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci and whoever wrote the 3rd movie, not trying to be offensive, I'm going to leave his name in the description below, god damn me, built. These 3 movies have built up a continuity that was greatly well done. The characters had grown. The movies were done well. They were released in a decent amount of time frame, except for the second one right here. They built up a nice lore of world and characters that was nicely done. But no, the 4th and 5th movie had to kind of go F that up. The 4th movie is a complete redo and technically a reboot of the entire continuity. They only include events from the third movie, and some characters from that movie. Besides that, the only reason I recommend you watch it is unless you were a fan of this movie or you got interested in the Transformers via this movie. Now, here's the big thing. There are some good parts of it, like Stinger, Galvatron, Bumblebee's black and yellow look, some of the character designs, the personalities, Hound, Drift, and Crosshairs would have been great characters had they been introduced in a better fourth movie. These movies are completely different. These two movies are completely different from the three ones that they had come before. They were completely different in tone, music, and the band that had chosen to play. Linkin Park was not the band that played in the fourth movie or fifth. Completely different band. That's why I dislike the fourth and fifth movie. They split up from a great continuity I think that Michael Bay started with Transformers 1 and 3. And even the decent time games. Transformers 1, 2, and 3 time movie games were decent. Transformers 1's time movie game did the job that it was supposed to do. It adapted the story of the movie, it had decent graphics, it had decent gaming mechanics, and it was overall a decent game that I'll give about 7 out of 10. And I know about an 8 out of 10. And the performances by all the actors are better than the movie ones, and they have much more of a focus on the Transformers story rather than the humans. So yeah. And that gives you a better story. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen game is really another great adaptation of the movie, and employs much more cooler ideas like a multiplayer system, and a very great game it is indeed, and it even includes Jazz as a playable character, even though he's dead in the last movie. And the first two games are great because you had a Decepticon and Autobot choice. You could choose between Autobot and Decepticon and have alternate endings. Not going to spoil them, but for the first game, if you win, you play out the game of the story. You play out practically the entire movie story if you pick the Autobot side. Now, had you picked the Decepticon side, I thought it'd play out the same way with Autobot 1, just from the Decepticon perspective. But it turns out that if you play the Decepticon side, you end up murdering all the Autobots, destroying half the planet, and taking over Earth. So that's how the first game ends. The second one would have an alternate ending also, likely. So yeah, I think the first two games were decent. The third game took a unique step that I think Beanox, the developers of the second and third game, even the first one to an extent, do a lot with their games. Beanox was a developer that mostly was notable for the Transformers games, and notably taking over the Spider-Man franchise from Treyarch after they finished the Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Treyarch were developing Spider-Man games from the Spider-Man movie game, the first one released in 2002. Then they did Spider-Man 2, Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, which is arguably the worst out of the entire bunch they made, and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Beanox took over and made Spider-Man Shared Dimensions, Edge of Time, and the two Amazing Spider-Man Time movie games, and then after that, Insomniac Games have taken over and are now the current and most developers working on the newest Spider-Man game coming out around the next 2 years or so. Heck, even my friend right now is playing the first Spider-Man PS4 game that is out, that one came out a few years back. If you guys want to check out a review on Spider-Man PS4 and the DLC, and even Miles Morales, you can check out the videos somewhere around here. They're on my channel. And you'll even see a rematch, all the videos done on PS5 version. The DLC will also get re-reviewed as part of the PS5 set, but included with the PS4 video. So yeah. Or PS5. But back to the subject. Beanox made Transformers 3, a prequel game to the third movie it was based on. Similar to the Amazing Spider-Man game, made it a prequel to the movie they were basing it around. So, whereas The Amazing Spider-Man was set after the events of the movie it was based on, Transformers Dark of the Moon, the game, was set before, kind of setting up the events prior to the events of the third film, and I think they did a decent amount of job with what they had. And I think it would have been a great ending to the Transformers movie games. But we had to get Rise of the Dark Spark, a sack of garbage game that is really, really shitty and try to entertain. That does not even connect to the Bayverse in any way or so. They just look like the characters from the Michael Bay movies. Which is a complete insult to those who are fans of the Michael Bay movies. And this is a complete insult. Now, anyone who likes this, who likes Transformers Edge of Extinction, you do not have to be offended. You can think this is a masterpiece, that the first three movies really suck balls. The first three movies can go suck balls for all you care. And the fourth movie and fifth movie are both golden movies in the entire franchise. You could think these are masterpieces of entire media. You could think the first three movies were not as good compared to these massive amounts of shit that these movies are. You guys can love those movies. I'm not going to judge your opinion. You do not have to watch this video. Remember, as I've said throughout this video many times, this is my entire opinion. This is my opinion. I do not like this movie. You may like this movie. I do not like it. You may like it. You may not like it. You may think it's eh. You may think to some extent you can like it. Now here's a quote I like reading. Not reading, a quote, a word somebody said. A YouTuber, a very widely known Transformers YouTuber, Marlon Fan 1995, did a video and he said that he's a big fan of the first 3 Transformers movies. Especially a big fan, which I'd agree with him since I'm a big fan of those movies too. And he said to some extent, Transformers 4. Transformers 5, he could not like it. Even I admit, I like the movie, I think it's a decent movie. But I can kind of join the train into that it's a bit hard to like it too much. This movie, I do not like it at all. There's some redeeming factors with the actors they casted, like her, Nicole Pouch, who plays Tessa Yeager, and the actor who plays the guy from KSI. He is a decent... Joshua Joyce, the actor who plays Joshua Joyce of KSI, is a decent character. And the ideas they were going for were decent. Like the idea of the Transformers getting hunted is a cool idea. The idea of the military making their own the US making the US government making their own Transformers is a cool idea. The Transformers being on the run, army sent out to hunt them down, bounty hunter Transformers, all cool concepts the movie franchise was nice to employ, and the humans turned again to Transformers since they have been so loyal to the Transformers for the last 2 movies that come before. But now, there's a big difference between concept and execution. Idea and execution are very different things. Idea is where you pose up an idea. Execution is when it can be garbage. Like this. Transformers 1 was an idea that executed to the decent amount of story Michael Bay was wanting to tell. The idea of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen was not as done well when it went over to its execution and executed the concepts and ideas that it had. Same thing goes for this one. Ideas, execution. The first 3 movies all had these flaws, but they still used their new concepts to their advantage. The 4th movie did not use it too well, but used it decently, but not too well. Mark Wahlberg was a decent protagonist, but a good, better one than Shia LaBeouf, not in my opinion. I completely fell in love with the character of Sam Witwicky, and to see Sam Witwicky no longer in the franchise was very disappointing, and another factor about why the hell did they make another one, in my opinion. I would have been fucking sad if there was no fucking 4th movie. I would have been scared to shit. But I would have soon got over it, and when I looked behind the scenes, would have realized that it would have been better to not make a 4th or 5th sack of garbage. But no. Paramount and Hasbro wanted more money, so they talked to Michael Bay, fucked him up with money, made him make a movie, then it was a sack of garbage. It fucking made a lot of money, so he made another one that was fucking garbage. And then they tried to make a spin-off that became a reboot, and everyone still thinks it's a fucking prequel. It's not. Nonetheless, let's get back and how about I try and calm down and try and give a more softer perspective on Transformers Into Extinction. I can't give you a good perspective, I'm sorry. But I can give this, sometimes I can give it a bit of the benefit of the doubt. It had decent ideas. Do I think I ever want to recut this movie and make it from the ground up? Hell yes. Do I think Dinobots should have been introduced? Hell yes. That would have been I would make that the main marketing point of the movie, and that'd be actually very important to the movie's plot. Would I make them time? Would it be a soft reboot and recast all the actors? Hell no. Would Kate Yeager be in it? Yes. It would be in a much more different light than the real film version. Would the entire movie be different than the one we see from the first 3? No. Will it match up with the tone? Yes. It will be an ending for my version. It's how I would end the franchise. It will close off all the plot holes that the previous 3 movies done. And will the Autobots get redesigned? Hell no. None of the Autobots would get redesigned. None of them would die. And a lot of the new characters will be introduced. So yeah. I still don't get why you kill them all off, but I also get why you redesign them, considering the fact no one would want to buy reused Transformers that have the same designs, which is why I'm not surprised they redesigned it. But I'll keep the designs from the first 3 movies. Do I think this movie is complete garbage? Yes. Do I think I can ever like it again? It's a bad movie. I don't know if it's a likable game, but overall, Transformers 4 is a sack of garbage, and if you've seen my ranking, you know I don't like this movie. I will one day review it, and I might one day give it benefit of the doubt. Transformers 5